guys, it's Ivory, and thank you so much for watching. Once again, we do have the amazing Amber with us today. I'm actually really excited because we're going to be bringing in aliens that tried abducting me in the past. And so we actually want to get their perspective on things. Okay, so I actually wanted to stop this right here. I actually just wanted to go ahead and go straight into the actual abduction attempts to give, I tried to tell my story while Amber and I were speaking, but I thought I could do a better job of explaining what happened. So here we go. And so during the first abduction attempt, it was just like any other night. I was actually asleep in my room, and then all of a sudden I hear hundreds of teeny tiny pieces of metal clanging against each other. And from there, I started to notice black patches were starting to form around my room. And I won't be able to tell you exactly how I knew what was going down, but I knew at that point I was getting taken. And what I believe is that they were actually sending me telepathy, letting me know that, hey, we're about to take you, and what are you going to do about it? And so all I could do was basically give them a really, really firm no. I was like, no, you are not taking me. And surprisingly, all of the noise started to disappear, and my room was coming back to normal, and they left. The second night, the same thing happened. I heard those hundreds of teeny tiny pieces of metal clanging against each other. There goes my environment around me again. I said no once again. They left. The third time it got a lot more interesting. They actually ended up showing up at the foot of my bed. Same story. I heard the thousands of pieces of metal clanging around me. I saw the environment around me starting to change. And then this time I saw two beings at the foot of my bed. They had an outline around them, and they actually kind of looked like that silly putty stuff back in the day, except it was clear. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was this clear silly putty stuff, and it was awesome. Anyway, that's what their actual bodies kind of looked like to me at that time. And so this time I actually felt this magnet, well, more like this magnetic force coming from my ceiling that was actually pushing my body upwards. So I could actually feel my body starting to lift. And then I grabbed on to hold my bed. And I was like, no, you're not taking me. You're not taking me. No. And I was screaming and I was yelling, was putting up a fight. And I was causing a bit of a scene. And this was, of course, something they did not want. And they could tell that they were pushing my free will, and so they decided not to take me. And so the thing is, even though they respect free will in their own way, I still definitely felt, very violated. And if I had not put up a fight, and if I wasn't super firm in my resistance towards them, they would have taken me if I didn't feel that I had a choice. So this had actually affected me into the next day. And so I told Amber what happened, and I'm actually putting this in a nutshell right now. And so basically the beings had wanted to work with me, and they did not mean to cause me that much distress, but for them, they just had a job to do, and this is the way that they normally work, and my emotions were actually a non-factor. They stated that they had no evil intentions towards me, and okay, let's see what else they have to say. And so who are these beings exactly?
I don't know who said this. It wasn't them, but somebody was like, Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Like, no. I don't think
right.
So. But actually, that provides an interesting insight to them. Because in my head, just the way that they act and come across, I think they'd be like Slytherins. They're actually a pretty small collective, but they're very powerful. They're like small but mighty. Because they kind of track phenomena just happening in the universe. They have a lot of like secret missions, like the CIA, where like the FBI works with the government and the CIA is just like they just do whatever they want. They don't interact too much with other beings. For the most part, they just stick with their own collective and do their own top secret duties. They want an overall sense of peace between everybody. So they're very much just about tracking things, making sure everything is on a continuous peaceful. Yeah. They have another duty too, and they're talking about crops, but I'm not exactly sure what they're referring to. They're just saying crops. So
Like crop circles or like
I
actual
think
crops?
they do those, but there's something with
Do they want to grow certain crops on Earth? Do they need us to have some kind of specific sustenance in our crops?
they're very much for like sustaining themselves. So they are like farmers. They like to have their own crop to keep their collective alive. However, it's different than not to compare it completely to like the human experience because it's not really that, but they're just very much into creating their own things. They're very independent from anything else.
Okay. Okay, so really great at self-sustaining. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So I had some questions for you guys. Well, first of all, sorry, what was their name? I know it was a Gryffindor, but I know it wasn't that one, but
They're saying they want to be known as the B230 collective.
okay. B230 Collective. Is that, I mean, your actual name, or is that just something you want us to call
It's like
you?
a code name.
Ah, okay. So I have some questions for you guys. I'm sure you remember me. What was your purpose in attempting to abduct me?
You know what? Lately, I feel like there have been so many like continuous themes with like hybrid, whether it's like people or like hybrid objects. So basically, they are trying to create some kind of like hybrid.
Race?
No, it's not people. It's like technology. So it's like trying to like I don't know, and they're saying plants right now, and I don't necessarily think this was as big of an issue when they had first abducted you. I think there are a couple of reasons for it, but right now, what they want to focus on and what they would, I guess, like to use you for, even currently, is creating some kind of like hybrid crop. Um,
How am I going to do that?
so it's just allowing them to understand our makeup, what our bodies need to ingest, and just like the way that our food works. Even if you look at something, so it's like, oh, does this look like it's something from your planet, or does this look weird? What does it feel like? It's like a tester in a sense, They're saying that initially when they first abducted you, I guess there was kind of like a a waiting list of beings that wanted to work with you.
Oh my
And they just
gosh.
kind of like pushed them out of the way and like try to get you first. 'Cause you have valuable skills to them. That's really it. They just kind of wanted to claim you.
Valuable skills like what?
I think your biggest one is just your acceptance. Like you just naturally gravitate towards this stuff, which is big for them. You're like willing to kind of surrender yourself to these beings and allow them to do what they wish, which not everybody are cool with. So that's all.
Well, as long as you don't mutilate me like cattle, and leave all these crazy scars and take out like my organs or anything, I'm fine with working.
They said this completely serious, which is kind of disturbing. But they're like, "Don't worry, if we take out your organs, we'll put them back." That was when we found them, and it's like, I don't think you should say that.
Interesting. And so back then, was that what you were trying to do as well? Were you trying to see like how I may work or how humans work? Were you going to operate on me in some way and just kind of check things out?
No, that wasn't really the plan at that point. Um, I would say that's typically like a classic abduction, where they come up and just like run tests on people, and that's not necessarily what they wanted. They wanted more than that. They wanted to basically kind of make you a, and this isn't the right word, but I don't know what other word to use, like a minion of theirs almost. I don't know, it's just a little weird. They're just very hardcore. They just use very strong, like,
I mean, that
vocabulary.
Yeah, yeah, and even really strong abduction attempts. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, my room would just disappear. Well, it was starting to disappear, and then a magnet from my ceiling was about to swoop me away, and that was really crazy. That was so physical. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Um, so really quick, back to the plant thing. Are you saying like, do you maybe want to have me test some plants and see how it's going to interact with my system?
Yes and no. It's more of like the chemistry makeup of it. Um, I mean, you don't like study the chemistry makeup of plants, so I don't know what they would use you for specifically. They're definitely saying that you would be useful, but I'm not sure how, and I don't think they want to reveal it because I think it'd be like revealing their technology a little bit. But just essentially like comparing it, just from like a human being. So, like, does this look normal to you or does it look weird? Is this something that you can typically see, or you know what I'm saying? Just testing it or like
See it,
taste
feel
it.
it, taste it. Okay.
I don't think they necessarily want to, well, at least not right now. They don't necessarily want to like push the tasting because it's not really made for consumption.
Is it medicinal?
No, it's just strictly mixing phenomena that happen on their planet with an appearance that looks like something from our planet to create the idea that our view of nature and the universe and how things work is not necessarily 100%
Isn't
accurate, and
correct,
we
yeah.
still have stuff to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are still things possible that science may deem as essentially impossible as right now.
Okay. Okay, interesting. And so I'm just wondering, why did you take me in that manner? Why didn't you take me in like a peaceful, like angelic way? That way things could have probably turned a little bit better for both of us. I was like traumatized the next day.
It's, yeah, it's just not how they roll. They're just very hardcore. And it's like they come from a perspective where this is what they want and they are going to have that. So they're just going to give it 110%, and attack it just to get the outcome that they want, which, to a human isn't really necessarily the best thing to
It's like you don't
do.
even
They
care
don't
about my
want to talk
emotions.
to
Okay, JDL, how do you feel about that?
me. Well, what do you, I
Do
mean, it's like, well, it happened. I don't know.
how do you feel about them working with me?
He's like, they're listening. I can't really say. They're right there. He's
Say
like
it.
trying to whisper. He's like, he doesn't recommend it.
Okay. Why?
And they're like looking at him now. Uh,
Don't look at my man like that.
um, to put it in a broad term, your experience so far, with them is not going to really change. So there you go.
So, unless I want to experience my room disappearing and getting sucked into a magnet, then okay,
Yeah, and
maybe.
like you're more used to things now, but still, I mean, that was the way. That's basically their way of saying, "Hi, my name's this. What's your name?" So once you become friends, I mean, things are gonna get a little bit more intense.
Interesting. Okay, so to B230. Okay, so the thing is, I mean, I really don't want to get abducted like that. So we're gonna have to come to a compromise here. If you want to work with me, you have to come in much more peaceful, like the angels and like JDL. Can you do that?
Singing a lullaby,
Singing a lullaby.
dropping cotton candy. They don't think it's funny.
Okay, so no comment then.
No, they're a little offended slightly, but honestly, I mean, it's not a match. It's not a
Mhm.
match, you
Okay.
know. And I think it was obvious in the beginning. However, they wanted to kind of push it anyways, just because you were like seen to them as a valuable piece.
Mhm.
That's all.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't mean to offend you guys. It just kind of the way I work because typically with JDL or with other beings, they come to me much more peacefully. So I'm much more willing to be of service to them. But I mean, when when you're coming at me like that, I mean, it's pretty creepy. So just from my perspective, it's not really something I'm really willing to do.
They're not gonna understand. It's just not how they are. But JDL's like they're gonna get offended at anything. So don't worry bad. They have left. They left. And Josie P was like they smelled. She didn't like the way they smell. They have a weird like musky, like old skin kind of odor. It's weird.
I thought they left. I think I could feel like I was like I feel like they just left. I feel like they're just
Yeah.
like, oh well, screw this. Then what was the point of coming in? Okay, well, I mean, so much for the rest of my questions, but they wouldn't be willing to come back to answer questions, would they?
You can ask me questions and I can try to answer it on their behalf.
Okay. Alrighty. At any point, were you trying to create hybrid babies with me?
I don't think so.
Have you ever abducted another human being
Yes.
successfully?
Yeah.
Okay, and in the same way?
So there is this guy that actually I had seen while we were talking to them like 5 minutes ago. Um, when JDL was saying how it's going to get more intense, there was this like image of this man and this like weird suction thing that like sucked his eyeballs. I don't know what happened, but he was like screaming. He's like ah, and it was like sucking out his eyeballs a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah, no. And so, interesting. So now they do know that they don't have permission to abduct me, right?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to keep my eyeballs. Okay, where is your planet?
Mm, I don't think I would be able to answer that, but I can tell you what it looks like.
Okay.
It's like this little green. It looks like you know how like radioactive things are like neon green.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what it looks like. It's kind of cool actually. It's like neon green and it's radiating a lot of I don't know if it's maybe it's like they live on some kind of star or something, but it's this like weird like radioactive like neon green stuff going on. And there are like little swirls in it that are kind of like a light blue. So it's like neon green and light blue in the swirls. Interesting.
Interesting. That's really, really cool. How awesome. And so, are they maybe made out of the same elements of that planet in any way, or is it completely different?
No, I mean it's still pretty much around the same lines. So the planet is pretty small. Um, like the size of like a moon. So it's like neon green, and there's like just like the sun, how it has like the light and stuff. Kind of, there's like a glow around the outside. You know, the outer layer of the sun. It basically kind of has a similar thing, but it's very light, and that part is kind of like an off-white, clear color. And I feel like their matter is very much connected to what that outer layer is made out of.
Okay,
So it's
cool.
interesting. It's like that, and then the energy encompasses it.
That's so awesome. That's really awesome. I would love to see that from afar. But okay, gonna go down. Well, I guess they already answered this. If they had some kind of purpose or mission of some kind, and I'm actually still trying to get that a little bit more clear for my own brain. So they wanted to give us like a specific crop to that I could test in some way that would basically let other humans know that there is actually life in other planets.
Yeah, so basically they're what they're working on right now is creating something that looks like it is of Earth. However, it's natural like composition or like the way that it uses energy or like however that it works, you know, is not something that we find on Earth. So whether there's like some weird like bacteria in it, they like poison a lot for some reason because it's something that like we see as like oh like poison like nothing can handle. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that like eats on poison. Just something new that we haven't yet discovered. You know that doesn't necessarily seem feasible.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. And they have yet to do this. They haven't dropped off some crops yet.
correct.
When do they plan on dropping off the crops?
There's a lot that they're not supposed to share, so that's I can't say. This mission was supposed to last from 2016 to 2018, and I think they're behind a little bit. So it might either be like at the end of this year or next year.
Okay, cool. Was there anything else they wanted to say?
Well, I'm just trying to like chase their like energy trail, but they don't want to talk to me anymore.
Are they upset or are they just like we're done?
No,
We've
they're
said what
just
we
moving
said.
on. They got better
Better
things
things to
to
do.
do.
Okay. I mean, is that it? I guess maybe that's it.
Oh, so I was trying to like zoom into their like outer crest of their bodies, and it looks like there's this like intricate little pattern that looks like little flowers, kind of. It's like a little like squiggles or something like. So it looks black, but when you look up close, there's like a little pattern. And it's like these weird fibers that are like twisting into each other.
Oh. Oh, that's really cool. And I like how they actually have bodies on a very 3D level. Right? It's like they're like in our dimension, I think.
Yeah, basically like go through the space between the atoms. Like they could go through things if they wanted to. It like overrides the rules of matter.
Okay, interesting. It was actually it's so funny. I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, somebody needs to invent that like now, but I guess it's not going to happen anytime soon. Do any of my guides back there want to say anything?
Josie P's like, can I get some coffee? But she doesn't drink coffee. It looks like a conference table a little bit with like everybody on each side, like waiting for their turn to speak. God. Josie P's like, just wrap it up. We're done.
Okay, Josie. How about JDL?
There's actually this little man, and I don't know who he is, but he's here. So I just saw him. So let's talk about him.
Why is he here?
Um, he looks like it's hard to like explain what he looks like because like it's like you're trying to look at somebody in like a reflection in water, but you're like splashing the water, so it's all like ripply and distorted constantly, so you can't fully like see their image. So it's really interesting because it's like the inside there's like a person there. He looks like a short little like older man that's like balding with gray hair, has a little mustache, but it's hard, and he's got like plump little cheeks and a plump nose, but it's kind of hard to like it's like there's like he's in this like bubble of like rippling water, so it's hard to like fully
Where?
I don't know, like his it keeps like distorting, so it'll make his ears look pointy, and then it goes back.
Why is he here?
He feels like he is some kind of a server of some sort, or like an assistant. I don't know how to explain it because he still has like a strong. So he's not telling me what he's doing here, but he's basically explaining that because he feels like he's not this like important being. He feels very humble and like kind of there for service, and he's just basically explaining that he's coming across that way because he's very connected with oneness and source. So by viewing him, it feels like we're all equal. He kind of has a voice that like it's a little nasally, but it sounds like oh, the owl in those Tootsie Roll commercials?
Yeah.
He kind of sounds like that.
Really?
Yeah.
How cute.
Yeah, he totally sounds like that, but like a little bit nasalier.
And
He just like grew an afro. It just like poofed out all of a sudden, and he was like,
I love it. I love it. Now he's from the 70s. That's cool.
Disco Phoeba. This guy's going crazy, man. Like he doesn't even I don't even know why he's here. He just changed into this weird like he grew like ivy out of his skin, I guess. And he's just like shaking. I don't know. It's just like a kaleidoscope, just like changing, like doing weird things. But he's saying his name is Gak.
What?
Exactly like Gak.
Yak. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, Gak, was there anything
No,
Not Gak. Oh, okay. Well, Well, yak.
There you go.
Yak. Did you have a message for humanity? Yak.
He's just enjoying himself. That's all he's got to say. You just got to enjoy yourself sometimes.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
having fun.
Oh my gosh. He's awesome. And thank you so much for bringing that lightness to the show, Gak. And alrighty. Well, okay. Well, I guess we're good. Amber, thank you so much again. Gak, thank you. Who else showed up? Was it Josie, Curtis, and JDL?
Yeah. Eric was here too.
And Eric too. Okay.
I think Eric's the one that said Gryffindor.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Eric, and thank you everybody for showing up. And I guess until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. Oh man. It's so early. I don't feel awake enough to do this. Okay. So I wanted to actually talk more about the actual abduction process. You had mentioned that guy, the guy that they took where they sucked out his eyeballs. I mean, there's no way that he agreed to this unless it was some kind of a soul contract or something.
Right.
And so I'm just wondering, why do you take us in that way, and when you can do it in a more agreeable way? Like, I know that this is just the way that you do things, but why not change it?
Because it's not in their nature, and it's a system that works for them. It's something that gets things done. It's basically like their culture, So comparing it to other species that do things a little bit more calmer, it's just they don't understand that because they get what they want by doing what they're doing. It works for them. So it's not something, they're not emotional beings, so it's not like, oh, I empathize with you, you know what I'm saying? It's not like that. It's just they want something and that's how they do it. And the thing with people, a lot of people don't understand the power of free will. So when something starts to take them, it's just like, oh my God, something's happening, and it just happens. They don't know to fight back. So unless you put it into action, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. But we're kind of putting a sheet over it as being really bad and really dark, when that's not really what their intentions are. It's just how their machines are, and it's just how they work, and just their kind of methodology of doing things. So it's not necessarily bad. It's just not necessarily for everybody,
Let's take the guy, for example, like when they took out his eyeballs, and I know they put him back, but when they took him out, and obviously he didn't want it to happen, why did they still do that?
Well, we don't know that. All I saw was him screaming, you know what I'm saying? So you can't, if you're not vocalizing and fighting back, they don't know. It's just more of a scary situation, where JDL was just showing you, you don't want to remember things, or you don't want to go through it. But it was just an example of, one of their tools, It wasn't necessarily they were attacking him or anything,
Was this something that he was willing to do then?
It was more of a soul contract. I feel like he had a lifetime with that collective. I mean, it just seems a little terrifying and painful, but it's just similar to having a little kid and going to the doctor and them having shots. It's something that they're unfamiliar with. And from our view, it looks absolutely terrifying, but it's just normal. It's just their normal thing. But if it's new to somebody, and if they're remembering things, it's going to be scary. But it's not necessarily this torturous clan,
Mm-hmm.
They just tend to be a little bit cold because they don't have emotions, so they don't empathize. They just do what they're doing because that's what they need in order to get what they want.
Do they understand love or compassion at all?
They understand oneness in a sense similar to that. Where it's we're all equals. We're all from the same thing. But other than that, they're kind of very robotic in the way they do things, where they have a system and they need to do that system. So it's not very warm and compassionate, but they understand oneness.
Are they controlled by anyone, or do they operate from their own devices and we need to get this done and this is how we're going to do it? Or okay, so there's no hierarchy of some other aliens telling them what to do?
No, they have their own like ranking within their system, but it's all them. They're just like they're very small little collectives trying to. They're very much into testing things, and testing other species kind of gets ugly sometimes. Yeah, they're more like scientists of their little area in space.
So changing the way that they do their abductions would just be a no-go for them? That's something they wouldn't...
They don't see a point in it. Because they would have to completely like redo their technology, and like everything is made for a reason. Basically, everything has a specific purpose, and if a human being is not willing to cooperate with them, they're saying it like that. So it's very like, if you don't want to cooperate, they just have to move on. They'll try to force their way in, but once it's like the door's closed for a bit, then they'll just move on.
And they understand pain?
They understand like three-dimensional discomfort, but since they are more of an energetic being, it's kind of like it's not necessarily real. The pain that we experience is like a facade, it's like that we have an energetic being inside us that's trapped in this like weird body full of nerves, which they find interesting. But to them, it's not real because it's not our like energetic body.
I'm trying to see if there's any way we can break through a bit. Okay, so I know they don't view it as connected, but for us it is, and so that doesn't matter to them.
Not really. I mean, they try to make it as comfortable as possible, but they want to understand this like weird shell, They're very robotic, they're programmed a certain way, they want a certain thing, so it's not like you can change their like mission, because it's like programmed inside them. And they just have like a goal they want to reach, and they will try to reach that as best they can.
Do they have a higher self?
Mm-hmm.
Can we try bringing in one of their higher selves?
Yeah. They're all very individual in their like personality, but they all at the same time are very connected with each other. They have a very strong unit. They're just like they're scientists, they're explorers, they're discoverers. That's what it's saying. With this, since they're doing a lot of discoveries and putting in a lot of tests, a lot of things are like classified, as we would call it, so they can't like verbalize a lot of stuff. But essentially, so when somebody would be beamed up, and it's kind of like their particles separate and go through like I don't even know what you call it. It kind of feels magnetic. It has like magnetic electricity, but your particles separate and then will kind of reform back up in the ship. Basically from there, they have to work quick. They don't want to, they're not ones that play with time, like JDL's people do, so everything has to happen very quickly. So once they go on, basically like all hands are like ready to go, and they just start poking and prodding everything, to kind of like get the tests they need, just so things happen as quickly as possible. When you're beamed up, just from everything going together, everything takes a little while to like start flowing, for your brain to start going back to where it is. So there's a period of where you're like unconscious a little bit. So they try to work within that window, because once they wake up, and everybody kind of has a different reaction, or like a different wake up time,
Yeah.
Things can get a little ugly.
Yeah.
So then they would like need to like add in like additional stuff to like knock them out again, and it just is not ideal. So basically they just try to start going as quickly as possible. So they have created these machines to kind of get to the very base of what they want as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. So it's like if they want a piece of your brain or something, they'll take out your eyeball and like go grab it.
Versus cutting open your skull.
Yeah.
They just try to take out the eyeball really quick and then grab what they can from the inside, slurp it out. Okay. Oh man. This poor guy though. I mean, I get it, but it's like I feel for the guy. He's still alive, right? He's alive.
Yeah. But he's like fresh off the ship a little bit. I don't know if this is his first human experience, or maybe his second, but he's
Oh.
very a little odd.
Uh-huh.
And he's just like them, very robotic and kind of void of emotion a little bit. So he kind of comes across as like a sociopath a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But he's not. He's not.
He's not.
He
Okay.
means well. I think it's his second life because it's far enough away where he like doesn't remember things, so it comes a little like things are a little scary to him, but close enough where he still kind of has their personality like attributes.
So with him, with this being like either like his first or second life, was that attractive to them in taking him? Was that like part of the reason why they took him because he's so new?
No, it's kind of like an integration process that they're doing. And this is something that I can't talk too much about, but basically they just want to understand the human experience. It's just something that fascinates them a little bit, so they want to kind of dive deeper into that, and what better way than having one of their own come and like do it themselves and they like track it,
Okay. And so knowing, so I'm assuming they have all of this data on humans now. So in the future, would they be willing to look into changing how they abduct people? I know it can vary. There's a soul contract, all that stuff, but
The issue with that and with that question is they are not emotional, so they don't understand why they would do that, and explaining to them that it's scary, they don't understand what fear is.
from a human standpoint, just because we feel that, I think if they could consider how we feel.
No, and I totally get what you're saying, but they're just very like they're just like robots. So it's just like that's not how we're programmed. I don't understand.
Would they be able to unprogram themselves?
I mean, it's asking a lot for beings that like are kind of like, if you don't want to work with us, it's okay. So it's like they're not willing. They have gotten to a point, and they're like on like full force. They're like going they're on a roll right now with their like studies. So having just this like random like person from another experience, that like doesn't understand their culture, to be like, hey, like this sucks, and
Yeah.
they're just like, okay, we'll just look somewhere else. They just don't get it.
Well, I mean, this would actually just help you guys down the line. I'm just saying you'd have all these
I
people that'd be
totally,
much more willing.
I totally understand. I totally get what you're trying to say, but they're just like, okay, let's go somewhere else.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least just to put the thought out there, I'm trying to help you out here too. So, no, they don't give.
They're stubborn. They're stubborn, and they're just. I think what makes it difficult too is there's a lot that they can't share. So I'm like, we can't get the full picture, but then at the same time, it's like, like, who are you to tell us how to like?
We're all one, right? They believe in oneness. I mean, I'm a
Yeah,
soul, they're a soul. I mean, in a way, we are on an equal playing field here, coming from the
absolutely.
point of
It just
us coming from source.
their void in emotion just really causes a roadblock because they don't understand.
I don't want to pierce through that
And I
road.
mean, I think their way of like is like, I respect what you're saying, and I respect you don't like it, so we won't try to do this with you.
But I don't want to deal with other humans. Okay. I know I'm pushing, but is there anything that would make them consider changing the way they do things?
All right, I feel like the only way to really get through to them is for them to experience it themselves, which I feel like is kind of slowly happening now that they're kind of integrating, and especially with that guy. They'll slowly understand that things are uncomfortable, and they slowly are. Even with their like method of trying to move really quickly and developing things is kind of like a newer thing, because before it's like they would just take me like, oh, what's this, but then they see that things don't end well, so
Yeah.
they've adjusted, but it's just difficult because it's an experience. Our experience is not one that they have, and they can necessarily relate to. And it's like a completely different kind of culture. They don't understand like warm, loving, like come, let's just all hug and like it'll be great, and I'll tell you whatever you want. They don't get that.
And I think that they would like it. I'm just saying, if they ever wanted to get there one day.
They're fairly new in kind of actively testing humans, and like when I say that I mean like maybe the last 100 years or so. So they're fairly new in this whole experience, so there's just a lot they don't understand about us.
All right, but what? Okay, so if you're so let's say you're in the process of taking the human. I understand all that, but what if we were in a better state of mind to make a decision of whether we could be taken or not? What if we were on like more of an even playing field?
They're just not there yet because all of the experiences that they've had like firsthand, once a human is conscious, like they're not in a state to like have that kind of conversation, and then also, I mean, not everybody, it's a different dialect. They can't necessarily understand them. They're trying to develop a better way of communicating. But again, I mean, having their own being integrated is going to eventually make a big step in understanding things from our point of view a little bit better. And they have like these memory, I don't know, I'll just call it a memory card, but these weird like little things in their arms, I feel like, that when they do abduct their own that have become human, they'll take that and like download it into their technology. It downloads like everything happening in the body, all of the like thoughts, all of the experiences, like everything.
How long do you think it would take for them
to
How long do you think it would take for them to grasp all of that knowledge, to realize, hey, we could do this a different way?
20 to 50 years, they should have some more comfortable technology. The humans aren't necessarily conscious during that time, they might wake up for a split second and then see, like all this stuff's going on, but they try to do this while they're unconscious, and if they do come to, then they'll knock them back out. So, it just seems like not a waste of time, but it's like they have a lot to do, and it's like not necessarily a priority right now. But then still, it's never going to be a very warm experience because they just don't acquire the emotions to be able to do that,
They understand emotion, like they understand that we feel them, but since they don't have them, they just don't seem to have the capacity right now to change or care.
Yeah, because it's just not in their nature. It's like if you program a robot to like specifically get this kind of information out of this thing, then they're just gonna get it, and if you like are like, oh no, I'm scared, they're like, I don't know what the hell that is. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, and it's just since they don't have those emotions, it's just like it's, I don't know, it's just it makes our like reaching out to them a little difficult, because then there's kind of like a misunderstanding, it's just different cultures with different goals and different ways of being,
Okay, I guess I'll maybe we'll interview them in 50 years and then see how all this goes. Did they try taking me the other day in my living room?
No, I don't think it was them. It was very similar to them.
Yeah.
But it was not them.
Oh, why did they get through? This hasn't happened since them.
Because you've been, as you try to reach out and think about things about them mentally, it kind of like opens the doorway for other similar ones.
Yeah. Because I was in my living room, I was like, this is very 3D right now. I can tell I'm being taken right now. And I was like, nope. No, it's not happening. If anything, it's getting easier to say no.
See, they have a good learning, a good lesson to be learned.
I'll cut and paste this back into the interview, and oh my god, I was almost done too, and I was like, no, I need more information. Well, thank you again, Amber.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, this is more tense today, and I was being kind of annoying, but I know.
I'm sorry. It's hard. It's hard to talk to these guys because it's like they're like robots, you know. So it's like there's such like emotionally wise, you know. There's so little they can like really comprehend. They're just so different. That's why you don't work with them.
Okay, I'm gonna head off to work.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.